Here we are at the nursery. It's a beautiful day, probably 28 degrees here. It's third week of May. I'm just super excited. Back in the nursery, I was kind of getting giddy earlier about it. Um, Anyways, I'll start showing you some trees. I'm looking for some unique movement in the trunks. And look at this. This is a eastern hemlock. Yeah, and it's just got this curly. It's some sort of cultivar of some sort, but really nice. You know, I'm not going to get this. I don't like the crossover here. They've got tons of nice trees. There's a Yugo pine. A couple mugos. Nice thick bases. You know, I had wondered about getting one of these, but a lot of the, I don't know. It's that, you know, there's something like this one. They might not be able to see it. This one's got that branch going off to the right, so I'd have to chop that. They don't quite speak to me. But this is the section here. I'm super excited. Just a sea of junipers. Just keeps going and going. It's just amazing. You know, and they got a really good pricing on some of this stuff. You know, something like oh, chickens in there gave me a little scare. You know, something like these just have huge, super big bases. You know, it's 35 bucks, right? You can't beat that. I mean, the problem with some of these I'm finding is that you know, you have a really nice base, but the foliage is quite, you know, it's quite far out. It's hard to push it back in. Although this stuff's pretty darn dense. So you know, those ones are nice trees. Lots of different varieties here, which is just awesome. You know, and you got stuff like this. It's almost like, let's see if you can see it here. You know, look at that. This would be 25 bucks, and it's just very nice blue. And just gnarly, right? These are like almost pre-made. The kind of movement you're getting in there. Yeah, probably can't see it that well, but really, really nice stuff. You know, something like this. See a nice movement. You know, and for the price, it's hard. You know, you could just kind of bring that up there and take off that bit, and you know, it's a bonsai. Now, what, you know, when I'm out looking here, I really looking for vigor a lot. So some of them, you know, they might be really nice, but the vigor is not as good. Look at that. It's hard, you know, it is hard for you guys to see probably. But just comes up, nice bends, and then very flat top. Chicken in there. You know, so really what I'm looking for is nice, like I said, nice trunk. It's really old looking. Some of these ones are just nice and old. This one I can't help but coming back to. Sort of movement on that. It's just beautiful. And the density of the foliage is really, really nice. This is a Prince of Wales juniper. It's just really, really nice. Let's get in here a bit and take a look. So, you know, I'll give that a comparison. That's like thicker than my thumb. It's going to be hard for you guys to see this here. You know, but man, you know, that split wasn't there. See, these are things that I look for, these little eyesores. This stuff can be covered up. But you know, there's that movement in the trunk there. I could knob off that thing. And just think, flatten that out. This, talking my way through, that would come off. So this is what I like to do, spend time in here. And you know, seeing how I'd actually construct it. Because some of these you get back and you go, what was I thinking? You know, you just want to buy everything, and then they get all, you're like, that's great, and that's great. But you do want to be decisive with it, right? I mean, you have this real strong pigeon breast, which will just stick out, but how could I get that line? Just a sea of junipers, just a sea. Color variation. Hundreds of them, really, right? Some beautiful big, well, I'm thinking these are shimpaku. Look at that dense foliage and big, huge base. You know, something just awesome about these. Like, look at the size of that. I mean, that's huge. There's my thumb. It's just the perspective is so hard to get. But just some beautiful. So again, some of these are a bit, the vigor isn't quite there for what I'd want. Like, you look at some of these here, and you know, the vigor is just not there. Too much dye, especially if I'm gonna chop it and do a bunch to it. Now I love these. These are just blue, 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 blue. You know, most of the ones I found in here, like all these, I've looked at them. They don't have any good trunks. They're just thin, right? Like just over the size of a pencil. But nice foliage. And then you look at something like this, some of these ones here, and you just get this nice gnarly base. That's huge. So, you know, it's just a matter of finding those nice lines, right? Like here's a nice line. Goes back and around, comes up. You know, you tilt it up, and you get a lot of nice movement. Now some of that is sort of consistent, but see, that's straight. See, what I'm finding is a lot of this, you get a straight one and then you'll get a big jagged movement or some sort of movement. That's probably a good example there. I don't know if you can see there's chicken in behind, but comes up straight here and then curves around. So you have that kind of contrast. Oh yeah, nice. But look at this, and these ones again. I just love them. I come back to them because it's so old. You can just tell the bark is so old and the dense foliage. Oh wow, look at the movement there. Hope you can see that. That is something else. So much movement, but this one comes back in and hits the ground. It's connected. I looked drawn to that tree earlier. You know, so that's really, you know, and for me, I use my intuition, find a movement, right? So you see this, you go, wow, that's beautiful. And then you kind of try to think, what could you do with it? You know, and you have that kind of straight thing, but it is straight and sort of consistent. You know, you could pop it up, have a real S, keep it kind of flat, angle it maybe. So you want to spend lots and lots of time with these trees. You know, I have bought you know, other ones, and like I love the looks of it, and then you kind of get home, you haven't quite seen the design. You just see a few pieces. So like I said, spend your time with it, but again, I think of these as practice. And this one, man, I am gonna get this one. This is too good. I have to get it. Just had to show you these. I've never seen these before. These are bristlecone. So it's something just I've never ever seen one before. So really cool to go to a nursery and find something like this. I mean, look at that. You probably can't see it properly. Just goes straight up and down. You know, it's hard to get a scale and a perspective when you're shooting with the camera here, but just wanted to show you back over here too. This is some bigger bristlecones. And I just wanted to show you how they form. I mean, they have needle groups of, what are we, 3, 4, needle groups of 4, which is fairly distinct. Let me just count those again. Yeah, needle groups of 4, but just look at the density of it, right? It's just something else.
So, home now after the shopping spree at the nursery. Tons of fun. Super fun to connect with the owners there and check out all the trees. And, you know, they were in that business for 35 years. It's amazing. It's one of those, you know, it's their lifestyle. And when the lady there, she was so curious about bonsai. And she showed me this beautiful rhododendron that she had got. It had this beautiful line, and she's pulled it out, and put it up in front. So, anyways, it was really nice. But here's the trees I got. So this is the first one. As you can see, I really like this, and there was some dead wood in there, so I can carve that out. And I think it kind of stops there. I might try to continue it up. You know, it's one of those ones that has a sharp bend here and then a straight section. So hard to know exactly how to style this one. I am thinking probably something, I kind of want to highlight that live line, but also have it not like dead on. So I'm thinking maybe something kind of like that, maybe like that. So it kind of comes up, and then use one of these branches to kind of have an apex of some sort, and I'll pull all this down. Really nice, dense foliage. Then there's this one here, and this is one of those gnarly ones. This is that one I was actually showing you this that I just couldn't resist it, not getting it. I think this was 25 bucks, Prince of Wales, but you can just see the age of these. I mean, it's just so rare to find a juniper of that age, and you can just see the movement in there. I mean, this will probably come off, maybe a little dead wood. You know, just really not unsure. But I just love the movement. I knew, and sometimes you just go and you go, no, I know I'm gonna regret not getting this one. So I got this one. Here's another little one. This one same sort of thing. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, look at the movement in that lower part. It's just so much movement. I loved this one. So this will probably be one where I chop a lot of it off and it becomes a lot smaller. But again, just maybe you can't see so well in there, but really nice. Again, this is another of those Prince of Wales one. Here, this is a different type of juniper. It's a let's just see. It's called the Buffalo Juniper Sabina. And again, you can see it's a cutting. It has the fruit. But what I liked about this one was just the movement of the trunk. So again, I was really looking for that movement of the trunk, and you can see it's pretty. It's got quite a lot of movement happening in the trunk. So and what was nice about this one is that the foliage was pretty dense in here and growing pretty strong. It wasn't too grown out here. Now, of course, this is the really strong stuff. But even as you get in closer here, I mean, this is kind of apical, but it's just really strong. So I'll be able to kind of pull that in, make a nice one. And then this beast of a tree. This is a gold star. And this was $35, so a little bit more, but again, like for the size of this and the age, for that price, it's just, I just have not seen a good price. So really good prices there. And this one, you know, I looked at it and I go, okay, like this is too much of a split. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do with this? I mean, there's so much to this one. You know, and I thought, well, I could take one of these just off. And then I kind of started looking at it and tilting it, and I thought, you know what, maybe if I pull that up, and you probably won't be able to see. I'll see if I can sneak my foot under. Pull that up and forward, and have that other one kind of shooting out sideways. You know, it won't create this sort of V. It will have a big gap, an obtuse angle, but this can kind of come sideways. And then I thought, I pull the branches all back, and maybe that'll make a nice design. So again, just so much fun going to the nursery and talking with the owners and looking at the trees. yeah, I mean, I'm going to start styling these up, and I will show you updates on all of these. So this is that one that I said I just were going to regret if I didn't get it. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I put it in this nice shallow pot, so I did quite a lot on the roots. That's why it's up a bit. It's, you know, it's thinned out. I did manage to get all the roots around, which is really great because it is quite a large container. But, you know, I wanted something that's really flat and had a lot of negative space because I knew these branches were going to come out, and I didn't want them just shooting out of the container. But what I really loved about this is, I mean, look at the sort of nabari on this. It's just beautiful. And then comes up and it, you know, goes back, comes forward, up, you know, and around. And this here, let's see if you can see. Yeah, I see how this splits here, and there's two branches, and the one goes back. I will probably take this front one off because it crosses over. And then you'll get even another curve in there. I didn't want to do a lot because, like I said, I just put it in the container, so I did wire up just a little bit. You can see I put some wire in there and a little wire in there, and this really just to prop these up. These were kind of shooting down and to angle them a little bit facing the sun. Again, this branch here I might also take off, and probably this will come off too, but I didn't want to take much. I just wanted to get really strong in the container, but man, am I happy with that. I just cannot believe the look of that. You know, this branch coming down, I don't know if you can see that. Comes off the back there. There's so much movement there. I mean, that alone for me is just such a beautiful branch. Comes down. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And I love the flat bottoms. I did trim just a teeny bit off of the bottoms, but not much. It was already, because it was in that container, it was already pretty dark under there, so it didn't have any branches. But I did trim just a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to do a lot more, but I realized, you know, if it was a much younger tree, I would go ahead and do a bunch. And, you know, like I mean, we'll see about these. This is pretty rotten. I may be able to gin that little stump there because it's kind of strange, or just take it off. But yeah, man, am I happy with that. Just see if you can get another look at that. Just so old looking. This is the, you know, this would be considered a bit of a pigeon breast, a sideways one, of course. But I don't mind it at all. It's really kind of coming forward. I mean, this is where it really kind of sticks out front. You know, I'll chop that off too, but anyways, really happy with it. So here's the big one out.
This tree
you can see the roots are packed in there.
Let's see if you can see that. I don't know. There we go. So you can see the one branch super low. Let's just get in here.
Right. Now I've tilted it up so it leans forward. It leans forward a bit and over to the right. And there's sort of this movement. This is the branch that hangs off. Now again, I've cleaned it up. Not super intense, but I have cleaned it up quite a bit. And I've wired a bunch of these branches down just to pull them out and to flip them over, because they actually were, they were under. Well, anyways, it's something to start. I can show you the back side. That might even give you a better sense of it. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see, you know, I had to really change the angle of the dirt here. And this big branch goes off. And I've got two big trunks and a third trunk in here, and you can see the sort of wiring I've done. Switch it around. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm thinking I'm going to do with it. The second tree I got from the nursery. This is that one that had that the deadwood in it, and so, you know, I dug it out of the container and I ended up getting this much out of it, and so you know, which was nice, because I didn't want it just to have one real bow at the start. This kind of gives it some extra movement. Now the tree, I have wired up this lower branch, which I'm actually really loving this lower branch, the looks of it. Just the way it comes down, it splits there. It's just a really nice branch. And I was gonna wire this one kind of entirely up. I wired up
another branch here. But I then realized that these ones, because they're a little older, they may not survive a full wiring, especially as I just repotted them. They're not like the young, you know, they're not quite as young as these vigorous young ones. And so I'm gonna, like the other one, I'm gonna leave it in the container for a year. And I have set this main branch and another one, and you can kind of see what I was gonna go for. So this would be pulled back a bit here. I'd have a triangle of some sort, you know, a triangle, and then another branch coming down here. Now, you know, this was super long. This was something I really wanted to hide. So what I've done is I put a lot of branches in front of it. And I wanted to bring, so I brought this branch down from the back and this branch over to bring the area into this area of interest. Because this really is the spot of interest. You know, the other piece that's a little bit strange is that it leans back a bit. You know, it's something I just want to kind of try to pull all the foliage forward, because this, just a teeny bit, and then it can kind of, the foliage and the branches will pull you forward a bit. So that'll change that. And you know, what I'm thinking is that you can see this dead wood here. I'll carve it all. I carved out a little bit. I haven't finished. Didn't want to do, again, much work. But I think this section here could be carved out. So I could carry this line in and around and sneak it around here. And there'd be a little more movement here. And then gin these two up. And that'll connect the dead wood up. And then if possible, I may start carving up and move that line in. So, you know, that'll hopefully give it a little more movement. Because it is kind of, the dead wood is kind of straight through there. But again, this shimpaku, and so the foliage is just so soft and delicate and just this beautiful green. It's actually quite healthy. It's been in there for, I want to say a week almost, so it's looking really, really good. I'm really happy with it.